Welcome to the Hobby School podcast. Whether you're a seasoned hobbyist or just getting started, Hobby School is the perfect place to learn something new. My name is Dr. Destini Copp, and I'm your host of the podcast. But before we jump into our episode for today, the only thing I ask is that if you enjoyed the episode, please share with a friend and give us an honest review on your favorite podcast platform. This helps us get out the content to more people. I also want to invite you to get on our wait list for our next Hobby School Online Learning Summit. These are free to attend, and you can find the link to join at hobbyschool.com, which is also in our podcast show notes. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode. And today, my special guest is Melissa Shanhun. Melissa is a Photoshop expert and mom of four who loves to help people manage, curate, and enjoy their photos. She founded Digital Scrapbooking Headquarters to help people tell the stories of their life with photos and words. She wants to share the fuss-free joy of scrapbooking with your computer through classes that make it simple to get started. Melissa, I am super excited to jump into this topic with you because I can tell you that I have on Amazon Photos, I have probably 30,000 photos that I have done nothing with. So I know I could do something with all of those. And today we're going to be talking about fuss-free photo fun. But before we get started and all the questions I have for you, can you tell the audience just a little bit more about you and how you help people?
Oh, well, thanks, Destiny. I'm really excited to be on the podcast with you. So you can probably tell from my accent, I am an Aussie. And that's kind of how one of the reasons I kind of got into the world of digital scrapbooking, because I was first introduced to that hobby in a way that probably lots of you were, Creative Memories party back in the day. And I created a little album for my 21st birthday. And then a few years later, I was married. I was living in a country town or in Western Australia. And I was like, yes, excellent. I'm going to start scrapbooking. And I went to the little scrapbook store and I just couldn't believe how expensive all the supplies were. So I was like, that's going to put a dent in the budget. So I was looking around on the internet just to see what I find. And I think I ran across an article in a scrapbooking magazine about digital scrapbooking. And I thought, that could be me. I have a bit of a graphic design background and I've always loved computers. And I really was excited about it because I knew that if I got digital scrapbooking supplies, I could use them over and over and they'd never run out. It was the appeal for me. And since that was back in 2008, so I've been going strong since then, I guess.
Well, Melissa, let me ask you this. And for those of us out there who may not be as familiar with digital scrapbooking, I think I understand what scrapbooking is, right? I've seen the big scrapbooks with all the people who have created all these fancy pages and stuff, but I've never seen a digital scrapbook. So can you explain exactly what you're talking about there? What does it look like? What would it mean for me, somebody who has 30,000 photos on Amazon photos that are just sitting there?
So if you think about a scrapbook page, so if you think about a paper scrapbook album, it's pretty similar. Imagine if you took a photo of a scrapbook page that someone's made. That's pretty much digital scrapbook is, except instead of taking a photo of a paper scrapbook, we put all the pieces together in a program like Photoshop Elements. So we put a patterned paper, we put down a photo, we put down some embellishments, we type out our journaling, and in the end, it kind of looks basically like a like a paper scrapbook page. And then what you do with it after that is you can print it out in a photo, just like you would any other photo. And what I recommend is for people who are just starting is you can just start with a very simple design, couple of photos, type in some journaling, and you can end up with a beautiful book. So the end result is something like a photo book, which can be just as big and bulky, but it's usually a bit thinner because it doesn't have so much as a paper. But it can end up looking pretty similar.
Okay, so instead of just like buying a photo book like at the store and sticking, photos in it, we're putting them in this, very, this digital format and printing
Mhm.
it out, and then we have this beautiful photo book that we can use forever and ever, and probably
Mm.
even give it as gifts, right?
Yeah, that's one of the great things about digital scrapbooking is if I make a scrapbook, say for when my kids were little, I made a scrapbook page for them, a dozen pages or so, and I'd print it off for myself. I'd print another copy for the in-laws and for grandparents. And it's really great because you only have to make that once. Whereas if you're doing a paper scrapbook, I don't know that you know any paper scrapbookers who's giving away their precious creations because there's only one of a kind there.
Now, that's a really good point. So this is something that you can create and give it out to
Mm,
multiple people. I love that. I love that. So
mm,
let's talk about how someone could get started in digital scrapbooking. Like I really want to understand kind of this process.
mhm.
For me personally, I'm a little bit overwhelmed. Like I said, I
Yeah.
know I have at least 30,000 photos on Amazon. It might be more. I might be,
Mhm.
I might be not doing enough justice there. How would somebody like me, I have all of these photos out there. How would I get started?
So what I suggest is you start with a what I usually suggest is that you start with a demo or a trial of the software. And I teach and recommend Photoshop Elements. So it's like Photoshop, but Photoshop Elements because it's a consumer level. It's not aimed at professional photographers. It's aimed at people like you and me. So it's got a lot of the same features, but they're explained in much more detail. So that it's really usable, and they have built-in tutorials in the program and all that kind of stuff. So you can get a 30-day trial, and I'd say you will start with one of your favorite photos and a digital scrapbook kit. So you don't actually need to design and make all the pretty fancy things. There's a lot of digital scrapbook designers out there in stores, online, and also on Etsy. You can buy the supplies that match the look. So at Digital Scrapbooking HQ, I've got a great class called Get Started Digital Scrapbooking, and that would like walk you through the exact steps. But I'd just start with maybe you choose one of your favorite photos or a recent photo you love. Don't start with like anything that feels like too much pressure, like your wedding or something. Like just get a nice, beautiful photo of, I don't know, a
Well, I'm,
sunset,
I'm thinking
a
like my
dog.
dog or the kids
Yeah,
at
your dog.
school.
That's a great one. A dog or a first day at, grade 2 or something. And you put them all together. So it's just basically you start off with a template for a scrapbook page, which Photoshop Elements has. You drag your photo in from wherever it is, whether that's on Amazon or on iCloud or wherever. Drag that on, drag on a few pieces of beautiful paper, a couple of flowers, a beautiful frame. And then you just add a title, add some journaling, just like you would typing in a Word document or something like that. And it's all done. And you've got your first scrapbook page.
Wow, I love that. So it seems like a very easy process. Now, I'm not familiar with Photoshop Elements. Is it,
Mhm.
and it seems like it's fairly easy to use. Is that the only software out there that people can use, or are there other ones also?
There is other software. I'm most familiar with Photoshop Elements. You've been using it for a long time. There's also Forever Artisan, which is another great option. The benefit of that program is that it's set up a bit more like for a full album at a time, whereas in Photoshop Elements, you just work on one page at a time. So a lot of people do like Forever Artisan. It reminds them a bit more of like making a photo book on Shutterfly or other programs like that.
Okay, well, that makes sense. And I am a little familiar with doing the photo bucks on
Mm.
Shutterfly. So now it's like it's clicking for me. I'm getting it's taking a while, but I'm getting there.
Mm.
So just starting with a photo that just brings back joy and things that we
Mm.
love, and or document it. Like we started school here this week.
Mhm.
So maybe documenting that first day of school. So if something's recently happened, start with that.
And
Um,
I love that one because say if you, I don't know, you see those photos going around where the kids are holding up the beautiful Pinterest or whatever. Maybe you didn't do that for your kid, but you can add that. You can ask them later, what do you want to be when you grow up, or type in how tall they are, and you can add a bit more to that photo. And that's what I love about scrapbooking. You can tell the story with the photo, but you can add a bit more info to it as well.
Oh, and I
Tell
love
a bit
that.
more of the
So
story.
just adding to the page. Maybe you didn't capture
Mm,
everything in the photo, but it's kind of more documenting that memory. How did
mm,
they answer your questions? Who was their teacher that year
yeah.
or whatever? I love that. I
Mm.
love that. Any other tips or things that you would like to tell us about digital scrapbooking?
Well, one thing I think is really important is if you're thinking about scrapbooking with paper or digital, a lot of people kind of feel like, I do that, but all my photos are a bit of a mess. And I just wanted to, you have to have everything perfectly organized to get started. And actually, I find my customers really get more inspired once they've seen what they can create. So don't feel like you have to get everything organized and everything neat and tidy. You can start today. And then as you get more familiar with your software or with what systems you're going to use, then you can worry about that organizing later. Or you can just get me to do it for you. Because that's something else I offer at Digital Scrap HQ is some photo organizing.
Well,
So if you really
tell us about that, because I want to know more. How would you go about doing something like that for a client? How does that work?
Um, well, there's a couple of different ways. I have classes that you can take to learn how to DIY your photo organizing, which is organizing for absolute beginners. But the service I offer is really great. It's called Photo Rescue. And I'm meeting with you, I talk with you about where your photos are, if they're on Amazon, Google Photos, iCloud, Dropbox, OneDrive, you name it. If they're on a DSLR, if they're in boxes, we talk about it all. And then we work through a plan. And then the best part of it for the digital organizing is I can just do it all for you. I often work with people in the US, which works out nicely. I set my special magical computer software that I have that organizes everything for you running overnight. And in the morning, you wake up to a beautiful, tidy photo library with no duplicates and everything in one place.
So does it put it like do you put them in like albums? Like if you maybe like a wedding album for all the wedding pictures, how do you do that?
So that's one of the things we talk about in our interview. So with my last organizing customer, she just wanted hers sorted by dates, and even her scanned photos that don't have, dates in the meta they're obviously scanned. So that's what we did for her. If you were wanting a specific project like weddings, wedding photos, and a lot of events, they're still kind of date-based. So we usually start with dates and then we work with you from there. And we use organizing software to help you drill down and get more detail in your organizing if that's what you like to do.
Okay. So, Melissa, can you let folks know where they can find you if they want to learn a little bit more about digital scrapbooking?
Yeah, sure. My website is digitalscrapbookinghq.com. And I'm pretty active over on Instagram, DigiScrapHQ. Or you can also look me up on Facebook. I'm Digital Scrapbooking HQ.
And we'll make sure that those links are in the show notes. And I believe you have a free gift for them also.
Yes, absolutely. If you're interested to, have a look at what would actually be involved with digital scrapbooking, watch a video of me doing it, get more of a sense of it. It's a bit hard to explain over a podcast. I have a great little gift for you, which is called 5 Things to Know Before You Start Digital Scrapbooking. And you can get that just at the homepage of my website, or you can head to digiscraphq.com/520. That's the number 5 and then TOKNOW. And that will just take you through the very basics. It has links to the software that I recommend, to the stores where you can buy beautiful scrapbook kits. And it just really helps you learn a little bit more and helps you see what you can do to dip your toe in and go at digital scrapbooking.
Melissa, like I said, we'll make sure all of those links are in the show notes so people can find you. And thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing all of your knowledge about digital scrapbooking. It was definitely a new thing for me. I wasn't familiar with it.
Well, I'm so happy to share. Yeah, it's a fun hobby, and the best that it is, once you close up your laptop, it's tidy. Everything's packed away.
And I love the fact that you can make one scrapbook and you can give it to gifts. You can give it to your mother-in-law or your mom and your aunt and your sister. It's just a wonderful thing. So thank you so much.
No worries at all. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
Thank you so much for listening today. Don't forget to sign up for the waitlist so you'll be the first to know when our next free HobbyScool online learning summit launches. The link is in the show notes for this episode, or you can go to hobbyschool.com, and that's HobbyScool with school without an H in it. Talk soon.